Welcome back to IT Master. If you've been browsing modern SaaS websites lately, think Vercel, Linear, or Stripe, you've probably noticed a design trend that's absolutely everywhere right now. Bento grids. These beautiful asymmetrical grid layouts are being used by top companies to showcase analytics, dashboards, statistics, security features, and product highlights in a way that feels dynamic, premium, and incredibly polished. But here's the thing, most developers look at these layouts and think they're complicated to build. They're not. And today, I'm going to prove that to you. In this tutorial, we're building this premium Bento Grid Dashboard completely from scratch using just HTML, CSS, and GSAP ScrollTrigger. By the end of this video, you'll know how to create Glassmorphism cards, responsive Bento layouts, animated SVG charts, counting statistics, pulse effects, rotating elements, and professional scroll-triggered animations. And the best part? These are the exact same techniques used by professional front-end developers at top tech companies. Whether you're a beginner just getting into front-end development, or an experienced developer looking to level up your UI animation skills, this project has something valuable for you. So let's stop talking and jump right into the code. Section 1, Project Structure. Alright, the very first thing we need to do is set up our project structure, and I promise this is as simple as it gets. We're going to create 3 files. Index.html, this is where all our markup lives. Style.css, this handles all the visual styling and layout. App.js, this is where GSAP controls every animation. That's it. 3 files. Clean, simple, and easy to maintain. Now a lot of beginners make the mistake of mixing their JavaScript and CSS directly into the HTML file. Don't do that. Keeping these files separate is a professional habit that makes your code much easier to debug and scale later. Let's start building. Section 2, Building the Hero section. Let's open index.html and start with the Hero section. The hero is the first thing users see when they land on the page, so it needs to make an immediate impression. Inside our hero section, we have 3 elements. A badge, a small pill-shaped label that tells users what technologies we're using. A heading, the main visual anchor of the page. A paragraph, a short description that gives users context. Now here's something important I want you to notice. The heading is wrapped in a span tag with a separate line. This isn't just for aesthetics. By splitting the heading into 2 parts, we gain full control over gradient coloring and animation later. Pro tip, always think about animation when you're writing your HTML. Small structural decisions now save you a lot of headaches later. Section 3, Creating the Bento Grid Layout. Now let's build the star of the show, the Bento Grid itself. We add a section with the class Bento Grid. Inside this grid we place multiple card divs. Each card represents a different dashboard feature or data point. Here's what makes Bento layout special. Look at the card sizes. Some cards are small, 1 column, 1 row. One card is large, spanning 2 columns. One card is tall, spanning 2 rows. This variation in size is the entire secret behind why Bento layouts look so good. Instead of a boring uniform grid where every box is identical, different sizes create visual hierarchy. They naturally guide the user's eye from the most important content to the supporting details. Think of it like a magazine layout. Not every article gets the same amount of space. Section 4, Analytics Card. Let's build our first card, the Analytics card. This is our large card that spans 2 columns. It contains a tag label, a heading, a short description, and an SVG chart. Now you might be wondering, why SVG instead of a chart library like chart.js? Great question. For this project, we're using SVG for one specific reason: it's incredibly easy to animate with GSAP. A single path element is all we need. Later, we'll use GSAP to animate the stroke of this path, creating the illusion that the chart is drawing itself in real time as the user scrolls. This technique is used on premium marketing pages and SaaS dashboards everywhere. And once you learn it, you'll want to use it in every project. Section 5. Counter cards. Next up, our statistic cards. We're creating 2 of them. One displaying 250 active customers. One displaying 99% uptime. But here's the key detail: look at the initial value in the HTML. Both counters start at 0. We're using a data target attribute to store the final value. Then GSAP will read that attribute and animate the number from 0 up to the target when the card scrolls into view. Why does this work so well psychologically? Because moving numbers demand attention. Our brains are hardwired to track motion. When a user sees a number counting up, they instinctively watch it until it stops. That's exactly the kind of engagement we want. Section 6. Infrastructure card. Now let's create the infrastructure card, and this one is my personal favorite. This is our tall card that spans 2 rows. Inside it, we place 4 small div elements inside a container called .nodes. These dots represent network nodes, servers communicating with each other across a global infrastructure. Right now they're just circles. But with GSAP animation, we're going to make them pulse in and out one after another, creating a staggered effect that looks like real network activity. Simple dots. Powerful animation. That's the beauty of GSAP. Section 7. Security card. For the security card, we create a single div with the class pulse. This circle is going to continuously scale up and down, simulating an active security monitoring system. Like a heartbeat. Like a radar ping. It's one of the simplest animations in this entire project, but it's also one of the most effective. A single pulsing circle instantly communicates that something is actively running and being monitored. Never underestimate the power of a single well-placed animation. Section 8. Automation card. Now for the automation card. Inside this card we place a div with the class gear. It's styled as a circular dashed border, which will become our spinning gear element. We're going to rotate it continuously using GSAP. And because we use a dashed border instead of an actual gear image, we get a clean, lightweight visual that still communicates the concept of automation perfectly. This is a great example of achieving maximum visual impact with minimal code. Section 9. Styling the page. Alright, let's switch to style.css and start bringing this design to life. First things first, we reset margins and padding on everything. This gives us a perfectly clean foundation regardless of which browser the user is on. Different browsers have different default styles, and without a reset, your layout will look broken in some of them. Next, we set up CSS custom properties, also called CSS variables. We're defining our core colors here. BG for the page background. Card for card backgrounds. Text for primary text. Muted for secondary text. Border for card borders. Blue and purple for our accent colors. Pro tip: always use CSS variables for your color palette. When a client asks you to change the primary color, you update one line instead of 50. Section 10. Creating the background. Now we design the page background, and this is where the magic of dark UI design really shows. We're using a very dark navy color as the base. Dark backgrounds do something special: they make glowing, colorful elements pop dramatically. the same blue that looks ordinary on a white background looks electric on a dark one. On top of the dark background, we add 2 radial gradients, one blue in the top left, one purple in the bottom right. These create subtle atmospheric lighting that makes the page feel three-dimensional. And then we add a subtle grid pattern using CSS linear gradients. This grid adds just enough texture to prevent the background from feeling completely flat, while still letting the cards be the visual focus. These background layers together take a design from just dark to premium dark. And it costs us nothing in terms of performance. Section 11. Styling the hero section. Let's style the hero section. The heading uses clamp for the font size, and if you're not using clamp yet, start today. Clamp lets you set a minimum size, a preferred size, and a maximum size all in one declaration. The browser automatically scales the text between those values depending on the screen width. No media queries needed for font scaling. Now for the gradient text effect. This is one of the most popular techniques in modern web design. We apply a linear gradient as the background of the text, then use background clip, text with WebKit text fill color, transparent to make only the text visible. The result is a heading that blends from white to blue to purple, exactly the kind of polished visual you see on premium SaaS landing pages. Section 12. Building the Bento Grid. Now let's style the Bento Grid itself. CSS Grid makes this layout incredibly straightforward. We define 3 equal columns using repeat, 3, 1fr, and set automatic row heights of 280 pixels. Then the magic happens with 2 CSS classes. .large, grid column, span 2 makes a card take up 2 columns. .tall, grid row, span 2 makes a card take up 2 rows. That's it. Those 2 declarations are the entire secret behind the Bento layout. Everything else is just card content. Pro tip: when you're designing Bento layouts, sketch out your grid on paper first. Decide which content deserves more visual real estate before writing a single line of code. Section 13. Glassmorphism Cards. Now let's style the cards, and this is where our design gets really beautiful. We're using the glassmorphism technique. Here's exactly how it works. First, we set a semi-transparent background using a linear gradient with very low opacity values. This makes the card feel like frosted glass. Then we add backdrop filter, blur, 24px. This is what actually creates the glassmorphism effect. It blurs everything behind the card. This only works if there's something behind the card to blur, which is why our background gradients are so important. Finally, we add a subtle border using a very low opacity white, and a border radius of 28 pixels for that rounded, modern feel. Glassmorphism continues to be one of the most popular UI styles because it adds visual depth without adding visual clutter. Section 14. Hover Effects. Next we add hover effects, and these are more important than most developers realize. When a user hovers over a card, 3 things happen simultaneously. The card moves up by 10 pixels, translate y-10px. The card scales up slightly, scale 1.02. The shadow becomes more intense. We use CSS transitions with a duration of 0.5 seconds so the movement feels smooth and natural, not jarring. These micro-interactions serve a critical purpose. They give users immediate visual feedback that the interface is alive and responsive. Without them, the page feels static and dated. With them, the whole experience feels polished and intentional. Never skip hover effects on interactive UI elements. Section 15. SVG Chart Styling. Now let's style the SVG chart line. We give it a bright blue stroke color to match our accent palette. Then we add a drop shadow filter in the same blue color, this creates a glowing effect that makes the line look like it's actually emitting light. But here's the key technique. We set both stroke dasarray and stroke dashoffset to 1000. If you've never seen this technique before, here's how it works. Stroke dasarray breaks the line into dashes of a specific length. Stroke dashoffset shifts those dashes along the path. When both values are 1000, the entire line appears invisible, because the gap is offset beyond the visible area. Then GSAP animates the stroke dashoffset from 1000 down to 0, which makes the line appear to draw itself from left to right. It's one of the most satisfying animations you can create on the web, and it's surprisingly simple once you understand the math behind it. Section 16, GSAP Setup. Alright, let's switch to app.js. This is where all our animations live. The very first thing we do is register the ScrollTrigger plugin. sap.register plugin, ScrollTrigger. This is a required step. If you forget it, none of your scroll-based animations will work, and GSAP won't even throw an error. It'll just silently do nothing. So always register your plugins first. ScrollTrigger is what allows GSAP animations to react to the user's scroll position. Instead of playing when the page loads, animations now play when specific elements enter the viewport. This creates the kind of modern scroll experience that top websites use to keep users engaged as they explore content. Section 17, Hero Animations. Now let's animate the hero section. We start with the badge, animating it from 50 pixels above its position and 0 opacity. Then the heading, from 100 pixels below and 0 opacity. Then the paragraph. Notice that each animation has a slightly longer duration than the previous one, and the paragraph has a delay of 0.3 seconds. This creates a natural cascading entrance. The badge appears first, then the heading sweeps up, then the description fades in. This technique of staggering entrance animations is fundamental to professional UI motion design. When everything animates at exactly the same time, it feels chaotic. When elements enter with a slight delay between them, it feels choreographed and intentional. Section 18, Card Reveal Animation. Now we create a ScrollTrigger-powered timeline for the Bento Grid cards. sap.timeline. ScrollTrigger. Trigger.bentogrid. Start, top 80%. From, card. Y, 100. Opacity, 0. Stagger, 0.15. Duration, 1.2. Ease, power 4.out. Let me break down exactly what's happening here. The trigger tells ScrollTrigger which element to watch. The start, top 80%, means the animation fires when the top of the Bento grid reaches 80% down from the top of the viewport, so it triggers just before the user fully sees it. The stagger, 0.15, is the secret ingredient. Instead of all 6 cards appearing simultaneously, each card starts its animation 0.15 seconds after the previous one. This creates a beautiful cascading wave effect. And ease, power 4.out, gives the movement a sharp start and a smooth deceleration, which feels natural and physical. Pro tip: power 4.out is my go-to ease for entrance animations. It feels energetic without being bouncy. Section 19, SVG Drawing Animation. Now we animate that SVG chart line we set up earlier. sap.to.line. Stroke dashoffset, 0. Duration, 3. Ease, power 2.out. ScrollTrigger. Trigger.large. Start, top 70%. We animate the stroke dashoffset from 1000, which we set in CSS, down to 0. This reveals the line progressively from left to right. A duration of 3 seconds gives the drawing animation enough time to feel satisfying and deliberate. Too fast and it looks like a glitch. Too slow and users lose interest. The trigger is the .large card itself, so the animation only plays when that specific card enters the viewport. This is the power of ScrollTrigger. Every animation can have its own independent trigger. Section 20. Pulse Animation. Next, the pulse animation on our security card. SAP.2.pulse. Scale, 1.3. Repeat, -1. Yoyo, true. Duration, 1. Two properties make this work. Repeat, -1 means the animation loops forever. Yoyo, true means it reverses back to the original state after each cycle. Together they create a smooth, continuous pulsing effect. Scale 1.3 endlessly. This animation starts immediately when the page loads rather than on scroll, because a security pulse should always be active, suggesting constant monitoring. Section 21. Gear Rotation. Now we animate the gear. SAP.2.gear. Rotation, 360. Repeat, -1. Duration, 10. Ease, none. Notice ease, none. This is critically important for rotation animations. Any easing would cause the gear to speed up and slow down during each rotation, which looks unnatural for a mechanical element. With ease, none, the rotation is perfectly linear, constant speed, smooth and consistent, exactly like a real gear. Duration of 10 seconds keeps the rotation slow enough to feel mechanical rather than frantic. Adjust this value to change the feel, a faster duration for a high-speed machine, slower for heavy industrial equipment. Section 22. Network Nodes Animation. For the network nodes, we use staggered scaling animations. SAP.from.nodes.div. Scale, 0. Opacity, 0. Stagger, 0.2. Repeat, -1. Yoyo, true. Duration, 1. Each node scales from 0 to full size, then back to 0, in a continuous loop. With stagger, each node starts its cycle 0.2 seconds after the previous one. The result is a rippling wave of nodes appearing and disappearing. This is a masterclass in visual storytelling through animation. For simple dots become a convincing representation of data packets moving across a global network. Pro tip: when designing dashboard animations, always ask yourself, what story does this animation tell? Every motion should communicate something meaningful about what the interface represents. Section 23. Animated Counters. Finally, let's animate the counters. Document.querySelectorAll.counter.forEach, counter equals. Let target equals plus counter.dataset.target. SAP.to, counter. Inner text, target. Duration, 2. Snap, inner text, 1. ScrollTrigger. Trigger, counter. Start, top 80%. We loop through every element with the .counter class. For each one, we read the data target value and animate the inner text from its current value, 0, up to the target. The snap, inner text, 1, is crucial. Without it, GSAP would animate through decimal values, 249.7, 249.8, 249.9, which looks broken for whole numbers. The snap property rounds to the nearest integer on every frame. The scroll trigger is set on each individual counter, so each one starts counting when it enters the viewport, not before. This means if users scroll slowly, they'll see each counter fire at the perfect moment. Users pay more attention to moving numbers. It's psychology. And this simple animation dramatically increases the perceived importance of these statistics. And that's it, we've successfully built a fully animated premium Bento Grid Dashboard using HTML, CSS, GSAP, and ScrollTrigger. Let's take a moment to appreciate everything you've learned in this single project. Modern Bento grid layout with CSS grid spanning techniques. Glassmorphism card design with backdrop blur. Gradient text and atmospheric background effects. Scroll-triggered animations that fire at exactly the right moment. SVG line drawing animation using stroke Dashoffset. Staggered card reveals with cascading timing. Animated counters with scroll triggers. Continuous animations, pulse, rotation, and network nodes. Hover micro-interactions that make the UI feel alive. These are the same techniques used in many modern SaaS websites, marketing pages, and premium web experiences. You now have all the tools to build interfaces that look and feel completely professional. If you found this tutorial helpful, do me a favor, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more developers. And if you want to keep learning advanced web development, GSAP animations, and modern UI design, subscribe to @ThypeMaster1. I post new tutorials every week, and there's a lot more coming that I think you're going to love. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.